everybody. Welcome back to the Weekly Entertainment Bubble. I have with me today Roushell Hamilton from Today in Amarillo. He's the anchor there. And, of course, today we have a special guest. We have Eric Mims Sr. in. He's the head football coach at Palo Duro High School, doing great work there. He's been there 3 years. Ro, this is your guy, right?
Yeah, it's my guy. This is my guy. I'm glad to have him in.
Yes.
It's good to be here. Good to be here.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate you coming in because we know your schedule right now is pretty busy. You're in training, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
So all your players are they in hype mode at the height right now, or does it take them a little bit to really get into their paces and really get into football mode?
We were off all last week, so today was the first day back. It was challenging. Some of the guys hadn't run in a couple of 10 days, probably since our last session a week and a half ago, and so today was a gut check. Guys got out of shape pretty quick, and so we're about to hit it hard again, month of July, and hope to get some more gains and get ready for the season.
Okay. Makes a ton of sense for sure. That summer vibe maybe sometimes get to them and maybe not in the best shape, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How many miles are you making them run? Is it miles?
There's a difference in the type of training that we do. We don't necessarily do overtraining and do a lot of our sprints are cardiovascular. We're not doing a lot of stuff over 200 yards right now. So we're trying to hit, and it's more performance based for us. That's about the length of plays and the time between plays. So we're more there than opposed to your soccer and cross country runners who may run those distances because they're continually running. Ours are more of a aerobic burst, just trying to make sure that we're ready to go every single play.
Definitely makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, and real quick, man, talk about the challenges of trying to change the mentality of kids, because it's easier, I guess, when you're coaching adults. But what is it like coaching, young men, or actually trying to take boys into young men and mold them not only in football perspective, but just in life perspective overall?
Oh, man, it's a beautiful process. To coach and to teach, it has to be your life calling, and I believe that's what my life calling is. That's why God sent me back to Palo Duro High School specifically to influence and impact these young men. My calling in life is to minister to high school athletes, and so I love the platform that I have to share my faith, to share my story, to share who I am. And we have an opportunity to develop these young minds. They're like wet cement, and we have an opportunity to put our footprint on these young men's lives and the way they think and the way they conduct themselves. We serve as in loco parentis. It means we're the parent while the parent is away when they're under our care at school. A lot of times we spend more time with these young men than they spend at home, and from early morning meetings to lunchtime and to after-school practices, summer workouts to bus trips. You just think about the amount of time that we spend with them, the amount of impact that we can have on young men. And so it's a great challenge to change the culture that was at Palo Duro. Hadn't been very successful in the previous 5 to 7 years. And for us, we're just building day by day, brick by brick, and trying to build Palo Duro back into the best program in town and the best program in the Panhandle and one of the best programs in the state, because Palo Duro has been in the 80s one of the best elite programs, in the early 2000s under Coach Parr. One of the best programs in the area, and back in the 80s when it was under Doug James. And so those are the type of programs that we want to put on the field, where the Northside pride is just oozing out of North Amarillo, and everybody knows that when you play the Palo Duro Dons, you better be ready.
Yeah. And see, for us, it's a special day as far as the North Side. I didn't get to go to PD. I was in Amarillo High District, and that's a whole different deal. But just being from the North Side, and my parents went to PD, so I heard all the stories of PD's glory days, and your folks went to PD as well, and you went to PD. Man, so from the time that you put in for this job the first time, and of course they passed you over, to when you got this call in 2021, kind of talk about what that was like, from going from, man, I didn't get it, knowing as much as you love PD, to when you got that phone call and it was kind of like God's divine will. What was that process like?
The first time when the job was open, post-par, man, I was so excited. Palo Duro had forever been my dream job. It was what I always aspired for. And so when Par left and retired, I was so excited about applying for that job. I mean, I wanted it, and I had a plan, and I had a vision, and I just knew that I was the right guy for the job. I thought it was my purpose and my destiny to get the job. Then I was heartbroken. I was crushed. I was angry. I was disappointed. And when the job opened the second time, I wasn't gonna apply for it. I wasn't interested. I said, you know what? They didn't want me the first time, and now I'm gonna have to go in and fix something that I didn't have the opportunity to fix the first time, and you know, so I wasn't real thrilled about it, and you know, pretty stubborn and upset, and you know, we had been playing extremely well in Duncanville and been to back-to-back state championships and was playing pretty deep when this job opened. And so when we initially talked, I said, well, man, y'all are going to be doing interviews, and I'm going to be winning the state championship. And we actually lost the game to go to the state championship that year. And
Golly.
so I was heartbroken, man, and I eventually got over it and said, you know, it's more of a God's calling and God's timing thing than it is a people and a personnel thing. And
right.
So getting past my ego and getting past my disappointment landed me here where I think I need to be. And the craziest thing, though, is I had some highlighted jobs in the DFW that if this job and this job and this job ever come open, man, these would be my 3 dream jobs. I think they're about middle-of-the-road programs. I would love to go to these programs. And soon as I took the job at PD, all 3 of those jobs came open.
I'll be done.
I laughed. I said, "Oh man, God, that now that's funny because if those jobs would have come open." And so, you know, I just think it's my destiny to be here. It's God ordained for me to be here, and so I'm excited about being here, and I'm glad that different people and prayer got me past my ego and my frustration to be back exactly where I'm supposed to be right now.
Yeah.
Did you have a main strategy going into Palo Duro for these boys? How I'm going to mold these boys? Did you have a strategy, a lookbook, anything that you knew you were going to follow in order to make your goal happen? Or did you go in and it was kind of off the cuff? You just did what felt right in the moment?
Well, there's a combination and a fine balance of both. When we got to Duncanville, the program hadn't been very successful, and so I watched a total rebuild, and we took that program from our first year being 2-8, our second year being 11-4, and our third year being 11-1, and then I became the OC in the fourth year, and we went 15-1, and in the second year we went 14-2, and then in the third year we went 14-1, and so I kind of experienced what it takes to rebuild a program and help make it prominent again. And so remembering those experiences and the hard work that it took and the grind, that was more or less my blueprint. I knew coming into Amarillo and being at PD that we had to keep our North Side kids on the North Side. And so that was my biggest ploy to my middle schools and to my students who were winning city championships at Horseman and who have been the best in the city was let's keep all this talent together. And so, you know, it's just understanding the lay of the land. It's understanding the parents. It's understanding the culture. It's understanding and establishing traditions and understanding marketing strategies and how to be relevant with people and how to sell your vision and your dream and how people support you. And so that was more or less my process coming in. We've got to learn and teach these young men how to work hard. We've got to teach them how to be dedicated, and we've got to keep our own kids in our program. And once we do those things, then we'll continue to become more and more successful. And we've had some really good success on our freshman and JV levels, and it's just time for that success to move to our varsity level now as those kids get older and they move into their junior and senior year. The success that they've had on that freshman and JV level needs to move along and come along with them.
All good strategies for sure.
I like that. Got me ready to go.
Come on.
Could tell that.
Got me ready to put on some
you could tell that you've really. I think your life has gone the way it needs to with God in it, like you said. That you rely on all of that. You rely on the community, on your wife, on your kids, all of that to really push you through everything. So I think that's really admirable to see, is that you're bringing all of that into these boys that you're teaching.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, whether that's in life or teaching them football, I think all of it together. And I'm sure, Ro, you played football, so I think you know firsthand exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you have a coach, and for you, it's unique. You're the first black head coach in AISD history, and congratulations on that, man. That's a big deal.
Thank you.
But especially, you know, from a unique perspective, when you have an African-American young man and you see a black head coach, somebody that looks like you in a position of authority, somebody that carries himself, you know, in an admirable fashion, treats his wife and kids, you know, admirably, and you see the kind of man he is, it makes it easier to follow somebody like that. But what does it do for you when you're able to bring your position of faith into a job like that? Your dad was a pastor. So how does that extra element of faith, of your faith in God, your upbringing, how does that help you in your day-to-day walk as a coach and teacher and as a man?
Yes, sir. So I'm a licensed ordained minister. And when I served in DeSoto at my church out there, Disciple Central Community Church, my wife and I, we served on the youth. And so I was one of the youth pastors there. And our lead pastor, Dr. King, asked me, was I ready to get out of education and to move into full-time ministry? And I'm not, and I wasn't. What I told him was, this is my mission field. This is my ministry, to impact young men and young women on a daily basis. I love being a part of ministry and serving in church, but those ministries typically meet once or twice a week, and they have a limited number of people that they get to touch lives with. And so being able to be in the public school system every day and to get to interact with hundreds and hundreds of kids on a day-to-day basis, I think I have a larger mission field to spread seed and to witness and to live a life and to give advice and to counsel and to do fellowship of Christian athletes and to have young men ask you to pray and to, you know, the availability and the mentorship, and, you know, that's why the Bible says that the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. So this is the labor that I do. In addition to serving at the local church, I have an opportunity to serve in the school district and to work with children who come from different backgrounds, who come from different religions, that come from different cultures, that come from different languages, different countries. So just the differences that we have, you don't necessarily always get that in the church. But at our school, at Palo Duro, where there is up to 40 languages spoken, and there's students that come from almost every continent on the globe, and just to get to work with those students and to get to live the life that I profess and to represent Jesus Christ, who I believe is my Lord and Savior, and to get opportunity to serve these young men and women and their families. That's just my mission field, and so I love it, and it's just where I believe I'm called to be and what I want to continue to do.
Beautiful thing, man.
For sure. What are your methods for loosening everyone up? Any fun methods, fun things you guys do with the boys to kind of loosen them up, show them that this is a good time just as much as it is live teaching?
I'm growing in that area because we're always so serious. You know, we try to relax more in the summer. Yeah. We understand, hey, summer is, we're out of school, we're a little more loose. Let's have some more laughs. Let's have a little more fun. Let's not be as super structured as we are necessarily in school and during the season. And so, you know, Our kids, they have their music that we allow them to listen to from time to time. We may bring out the speaker, and then in the weight room, some of the coaches play different music. So that kind of lightens the mood. But they understand, the kids do, that it takes a certain level of work to win. And while getting better can be fun, they know that the real fun is after a game, and we get to celebrate. And so we're working and building towards the post-game celebration, and we try to laugh and have fun and do different things from time to time, but they kind of get it that, hey, this is a grind, and there's not necessarily a fun way to grind. It's a mindset, and we've got to get our minds fixed in and locked in and focused in, and from there, then everything else will take care of itself.
Makes perfect sense.
I love it. I love it. Now, what are some? Lord have mercy, bro. Start that over. What are some changes along the coaching staff, and or any key? Or Jesus, what are some changes among the coaching staff, and then are there any major changes with players, like at key positions? Quarterback, linebacker, stuff like that.
Coaching staff, man, I think we have a really good staff. We've brought in a couple of new guys this year. Our coordinators have been mainstays. Coach Harthorne has been my offensive coordinator. He came with me from Duncanville. So typically when a head coach gets a job, they bring in their own guys, and they bring in their own coordinators. They bring in a couple of coaches that come along with them. And I was leaving Duncanville, and again, we had been to back-to-back state championships, and then we had lost in the semifinals, and it's 5-6 hours from here. And so I figured I was going to be coming by myself. I'm going, man, it's going to be hard to get these guys who are elite coaches coaching elite kids out of this elite program to come with me. Had I gotten one of those other jobs that I mentioned, it would have been a lot easier. No one would have to relocate. They would have all been in the DFW. Guys would have been willing to go. But coming to Amarillo, I knew it would be a challenge. But Coach Harthorne called me and said, hey, man, God released me to go with you. I said, well, come on, let's go. And so, I've always been so excited and happy to have Coach Harthorne, because it was something that he prayed about. I didn't even ask him. I didn't ask any of the coaches. Well, I take that back. There was one or two that I asked that were on the freshman level there at Duncanville that I asked, and one of our other coaches ended up getting a job and took him to be a varsity coach with him. So Coach Harthorne has been with me since I've been named the head coach. Coach Nutter, my defensive coordinator, was at Tascosa. We played together with the Amarillo Venom. We were the Dusters back when I played, but we played arena ball together. He's been my defensive coordinator. Man, the most famous member of my staff has been Ziggy Hood. He was coaching actually at
Can I
Navarro.
tell you something really quick?
Yes.
We mentioned Ziggy Hood's name more in this newsroom than I think anyone's ever.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
He's a great man.
We talk
He's
about
a great
Ziggy
guy.
all the time.
Yeah,
That's
Ziggy's
awesome.
a good dude.
Yeah, he was coaching junior college down at Navarro, and one of guy that we grew up with, Diamond Hughes, said, "Hey, I think Ziggy wants to coach," and so we started chit chatting about it. And man, having Coach Hood on staff has been a plus and a plus and a plus and a plus and a plus, and it's just a blessing that I tell people all the time. Ziggy could coach wherever he wanted to in this country, high school. He could still coach in the NFL if he wanted to. He could coach big-time college football, but he chooses to coach at Palo Duro High School on the north side to teach science. I mean, what a blessing to have someone of his level of knowledge and experience who wants to be at Palo Duro. It's not because he was offered a job here. It's because he chose to have a job here. And so we're excited, always excited about having him. Coach Lane has been there with me 3 years. Coach Jeremiah Johnson has been there with me. He was on the previous staff, but has been awesome. Coach Deion Luke actually played for me at Palo Duro his senior year. He was a basketball guy, played basketball at PD for 4 years, but actually played football his senior year, and coaches my wide receivers, does a great job. You're talking about somebody who loves the north side of Amarillo, loves Hamlet, loves Palo Duro High School. Coach Luke is my guy. So appreciative that he's fallen in love with coaching football. He was naturally a basketball guy, but he does a great job in football as well.
Full of energy too.
Oh
boy.
yeah, oh yeah. He knows he is our hype guy.
Yeah.
The new guys that we bring to staff this year, Clayton Mitchell played at North Crowley High School and is going to be coaching some offensive line for us. He'll be a first-year coach. Tyron Lewis is another Palo Duro grad. He ran track down at West Texas. He holds the school record in the 60-meter hurdles. So he'll be joining our staff. Derek Qualls is an Amarillo High graduate who played at West Texas and will be joining our staff. And Trayvon Fillmore played basketball at Palo Duro and will also be joining our staff. And then our freshman staff also consists of Casey Salmon is our freshman head coach, and Tyson Wormsbaker is our head baseball coach. Baseball made the playoffs for the first time in the last 6-7 years. Baseball beat Amarillo High, Tascosa, and Cat Rock, so we're extremely excited for our baseball team. They're doing big things, and so that's going to be our staff this year. Excited about the new guys that we've got coming in. Excited about how they're going to mix with the guys who've been at Palo Duro, and we're just looking to get better and better and better every year. But I really like this staff.
Good.
Great. I was going to ask, how important is inspiration figures? Do you kind of do in-house inspiration, or do you show them clips or game day footage or anything of other players that they could possibly be playing like that? Or is everything very in-house? Like, let me show you what you could do. Here's Ziggy Hood. This is what he could do. This is what he did. He went to Pittsburgh. He did what he had to do. He went to all these other teams in the NFL and really showed out. Are you telling these players that they can be like this, or are you really, I just want to know the technique behind your coaching mainly. Is inspirational figures a part of that? Or
Yes, ma'am. We pull inspiration from everywhere. We definitely talk about the Ziggy Hood story and how he was a Palo Duro Don, and he'll tell you oftentimes that he doesn't even think he was the best player on that team, but he kept getting better and kept getting better, and then the opportunity he had at the University of Missouri, and then the opportunity he had to go to Pittsburgh, he took advantage of his opportunities. He lived the right way and did the right thing and trained the right way, and so it paid off for him. We often talk about the alumni on our staff. Like I said, Deion Luke is a Palo Duro graduate, and Tyron Lewis is a Palo Duro graduate, and I'm a Palo Duro graduate, and so we like to emphasize these are young men who sat in the same classroom. Some of us had the same teachers. I grew up with some of my players' parents, and so we talk about how the decisions that we made got us here in life, and then our classmates who are also successful. And then we also talk about people who aren't necessarily as successful. This guy played at PD, or we know guys who were better than Ziggy Hood, that, as he would say. He felt like these people may have been more talented than him, but they didn't have the discipline or the work ethic that he had that caused him to be as successful as he was. And so we talk about the good, we talk about the bad, we talk about the ugly. And then we also we pull in inspiration from outside of football. We'll use movie clips, 300 battles. We'll watch some Rocky clips and some Creed, and we'll watch some Eric Thomas and some different inspirational videos. You know, there's just inspiration everywhere. We try to find it in different forms, from in-house to social media to just wherever we can find inspiration. So anything that we think will connect with our kids and that's relatable. We want to be relatable with our guys.
That's good. That's good.
Do you have anything last minute you want to ask him, Ro? Is there anything else that you kind of wanted to know about?
One more question. You mentioned Creed. Talk a little bit about Eric Mims, the man. What kind of movies you like to watch?
Man, I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
I typically let my wife choose because
Smart man.
That's nice.
I let her choose because she spends so much of her time investing in my program and investing in our football team. So if she feels like a lovey-dovey, mushy movie, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
She loves Marvel, and so we watch all of the Marvel movies. She loves Creed. She loves action movies. So you know, we can watch anything from The Notebook to Fantastic Four to Creed. I mean, anything. She's not necessarily into a lot of history movies. We're not watching a lot of war movies or old history movies, but just current action stuff and Marvel stuff. That's kind of where we land and what we enjoy.
Well, Miss Adrienne, that's your biggest cheerleader, man.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever see her at the game, there's no mistaking who Eric Mims' wife is.
That's right.
Man, she on that sideline.
That's
She's
right.
louder than everybody in that stadium.
That's right.
But man,
What a life.
Yeah, great woman. She's my buddy, man. She be having me roll.
I need to meet her sometime. She sounds like super supportive. One last thing really quick. Have you met your ultimate goal at Palo Duro, or are you still trying to reach for it?
Oh, I like that one.
Oh, we're nowhere near our ultimate goal. There's so much room for improvement. We want to see all of our young men graduate high school, which we're doing pretty good in the last 2 years. All of our kids have graduated. We always want to make sure that we have goals that aren't necessarily on-field football goals, and so graduating all of our guys. But we also want to have a 3.0 team GPA, and we hadn't got there yet. We want to have guys on the National Honor Society. We want to have guys that are superintendent scholars, and so what we always preach is, man, there's going to come a day. And for a guy like Ziggy Hood, the day, his career extended a lot longer than some of the guys who only get to play high school. But there will be a day when you can't play football anymore. And when that day comes, you have to be a productive citizen. You have to be able to give back to your community. You have to be able to contribute positively to society. And so we want these guys to be well educated. We want them to have great people skills. We want them to become great business owners or to become good employees. And so some of those successes aren't necessarily attainable within the first year of graduating, but it's seeing young men who say, hey, coach, I went and got my college degree. I ended up not playing football, but I came back. I know that y'all were always big on it. I tell guys I want invitations to their weddings. I don't just want them to be baby daddy to 5 women, but I want an invitation to your wedding. I want you to be able to kiss your kids goodnight and wake them up in the morning. And so there's a lot of different goals and different things that we talk about, and we preach to these young men that we won't necessarily know that they succeed in those things until down the line, but we're always talking about it. We're always preaching it. We want to be more than just football. When we get to football, no, we hadn't got close to our goal because we want to be state champions. We want to be an elite program. First, we want to be the best in Amarillo. We hadn't done that yet. Then we want to be the best in the Panhandle. We want to be the best in our region, and we want to be the best in the state. And so we want to play for a state championship. We want to eventually bring Palo Duro a state championship, something that hasn't happened in Amarillo in football in decades. It's been a long time. If I recall right, the last Amarillo football team to win district was the Carver Dragons, and we actually honored them last year because they won state in 1952. They played in the Prairie View League, which was an all-black league because at the time of segregation, the black players weren't allowed to play with the white players, but Amarillo Carver Dragons won the state championship that year in 1952. So it's something that hadn't been done since the 50s, and then in UIL, I want to say it hadn't been done since Amarillo High did it in the 1930s with Blair Cherry. And so we want to get Palo Duro on the level where we are recognized at a high level for the state and nationally. And so, no, we hadn't achieved that goal. There's a lot more that we need to do, and we've got to continue to get better. We've got to develop our talent and our fundamentals and our work ethic, and so you'll know when we reach that goal. That'll be something that everybody sees, and it'll be talked about and celebrated.
Okay.
All right, well, Eric Mims, thank you so much for coming in. Head football coach at Palo Duro High School. We'll be looking out for everything you guys are doing over there for sure, because clearly there's a lot of strength over there for sure.
Thank you.
They building something.
We're trying to build it.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
That's a wrap.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely.